Hello, hello. All right. I am still getting set up, but figured might as well just start talking through it. Let me just get my other computer up and running so I can see what's going on with these streams. And then we are going to continue working on a database. So yesterday, I had some time early in the morning and I came up with a little system that lets me self-host a database, and I expose a bunch of endpoints that Lovable can then connect to. And my goal is to not have to use Superbase whenever I want to just come up with like a little fun test project, because it's starting to get expensive for me. So this is a kind of hacky way to get around that. So let me mute all my monitors. My sound seems to be working. My screen seems to be working. Let me get my comments up and running. And now let's go ahead and I'm going to start just setting up the workspace. So this was the project that I was using yesterday. And the whole idea behind this project is that now what I've created is this very basic sort of note-taking app, just as a proof of concept. And you enter in your database credentials here. You click sign in. Once you sign in, it authenticates that it can actually talk to the back end. It shows you that it's successful. It shows you the database status, and then it shows you your notes and stuff. And then you can sort of add a new note and remove it. Lovable loves doing this thing where it adds like two close buttons at the same time on modals, but hey, let it do itself. And then what we're going to do now is on top of this, I want to do I'm going to split this thing to the right, and we're going to call up coder. I think this is called SQL test. I don't know if oh, hey, cool. It's still running. All right. So this is the front end for the back end that I was working on. And the idea here is that what I was trying to do is just come up with a simple thing where if you come to the to this front end, you can add in your password, and then it will allow you to select a table. And this is something that I didn't even realize. Like, what, I don't even know if there is a JavaScript node equivalent to my PHP admin? Like, Node myadmin, the alternative to written with Node. Yeah, see, so someone else decided to do this too. More info on this website. I'm kind of curious. Basically, there's no way. Oh, that's not promising. Basically, there's no like equivalent that I've seen of PHP myadmin for database stuff, and it's yeah, it's kind of weird. Like I haven't seen any front ends for this. So, is your node equivalent to MySQL Workbench is free, open source, supports all three platforms. Not why use this. What is MySQL Workbench? Is this like a desktop thing? Yeah. All right, I've seen this before. I don't want to use this at all. Node, I'm in a fantastically elegant. With Express, with Koa, usage, login, navbar, overview. Hey, this looks promising. Oh, cool. This was created 10 years ago. The last update being 6 years ago. Man, I don't know why this is so weird. So anyways, I think my plan is that I'm going to just build out a very basic table editor here. So let me do this. I'm going to change this to code. We can code project. Let me, whoops, that's not my login. Why doesn't it remember my password? Hold on, I need to authenticate myself here. Oops. And now, I'm glad that 1Password decided to show up on my main screen. What was I looking for? Code, weekend, code project. Coder, weekend code project. All right, I think this is, oh, I think I also know the password, but, okay, cool. That was so not worth what I had to go through for it, but all right. So we have this SQL test here. I am going to open up code server. Why can't it find any of these files? So we have server, start. All right, all this stuff should be running still. I still see, so that's one of the things that I do like about this is that it does keep its state. I wonder if I can just get this whole URL and go back here where I have this split screen and change the URL here to this so that I can open up Visual Studio Code and Bob's your uncle. All right, so I was doing something a little fun yesterday because I was using Lovable, which is an AI, to create the front end, and then I was using ChatGPT to help me with the back end. A lot of this stuff is just sort of like out of my domain of expertise, we should say. Let me see if I can get this. I wanted to put this here. Oh, stop doing that. The one time I wanted to not snap. Whatever. All right. I was just going to pull up an instance of ChatGPT. And all right, ChatGPT is giving me an ad for using its new image editor. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to create a new chat here. And let me bring this window down. And what we're going to do is we're going to tell it that, what database was I using again here? MariaDB. Okay. I am using MariaDB on a self-hosted version of Coder, and I want to connect my project up to what the hell was like to Lovable, right? To Lovable, and then the way I have done this is I created an API to manage the database. Let me show you my code first before we talk about what I want to do next. All right, so I'm going to give it all of my code here. I don't need to deal with the start. What I need to do is the server. So let's do this. This is server.js. And then I need to do This minimal I don't need anymore. Database I need as well. Database JS and CRUD. All right, so what we're doing here is we're preloading ChatGPT with the information it needs to know for how the API works in my database. And I guess this window is a little too small for Lovable to enjoy this. Let me see if I can move this over a little bit more so we can get, there we go. All right, and we don't need this right now, so we can close this out to give us some more space. And why did this stretch out all the way? Oh, here we go. Okay, your code looks solid. What's next? Before we do anything, let's do this. Let's close this down. I think I haven't set up a Git repository yet. So clear Git init and using master Git config. Interesting. All right, I need to do one quick thing on my server. Let me go to Parsec and load this up. So I have this. I'm just doing this off screen because it'll be a little easier. But I have this. I have this set up in a way where on my NAS, which is just basically a Mac Mini, I share the credentials for SSH and for Git for the Git config in a general. Actually, you know what? I'll just wait. Let me get out of this interactive mode. Here, I'll just share what I'm doing. Okay, so I have this folder on my NAS called Coder in its own user, and then I have all the stuff that runs my self-hosted Coder. You can see I have this in the background for running all of my containers, and Coder basically orchestrates all of this. So this whole block here, which is under this Docker tag, all these things are what is running on Coder. Although this OAuth2 proxy, I don't think I need that. But all right, I'm not gonna mess with that just yet. But I have this thing called global config, and in this global config, I share SSH keys, I share default settings for Visual Studio, and I'm going to open this with where's Visual Studio Code? And then I have this git config file. So what I'm kind of curious about is, whoops, it wanted me to, let me make this smaller so I can see what the hell it wanted. It gave me this warning, so git config. All right, let me just ask ChatGPT real quick how to do this, because I can't remember. I mean, this is basically what winds up happening now. So ChatGPT just becomes my search engine. Unrelated, how do I set up this for a default main branch in my config? And let me just go pull back up Parsec here so I can see my server, if I can find the right window. And let me see if I can do this. In my .git config. I just don't remember whatever the formatting is for this stuff. So, all right, here we go, init. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to save this real quick, and then I'm going to restart the container. Sure, why not? What could go wrong? Let me do this. I'm going to rmrf remove the .git thing, clear git status, clear. I wonder what this bash error is. I'll just make a new. I think the error is just because I had exited out of the code workspace. So now I'm going to go back into Coder here. Let me switch this back over to Coder. And I'm going to, for my SQL test, I am going to restart this container. And what's going to wind up happening is that I have that config folder mapped over to my, you can sort of see it here. I have this, sorry, I was just getting a call, which for some reason took over my whole headphones. Even though it's connected to my PC, I don't know what's going on there. So this config file, I have this in Coder, global config, Jesse Freeman. So I have Coder basically mount in any container I create, any workspace container I create, the current user, which is usually just me. Well, it's only me at this moment. And then I mount this file into the file system. So this way, when Docker starts up, it always knows all the configuration that it needs in order to run Git, and I don't have to do the Git config or set up the SSH keys and all that other crap that I really hate doing. So let's go back now to our coding tab. It's going to reload the Visual Studio, or it's, what is it called? Code server, which is basically Visual Studio Code in a that's hosted online. And let's see if we do git init, if that warning goes away. Well, it didn't go away. Why didn't it go away? How can I see the git? Where is the git config file? File, open file. Let me see where, I can't remember where it puts this thing. Is it under user? Local. Maybe it's in the root. Root, local. Oh, yeah, I think it's root, local, share, code server. This is my user stuff, machines. Why can't I find this workspace? Huh. I don't remember where the hell I'm mounting this. Let's go and actually, I know how to find this out. So I'm going to go into my template here for Terraform. So we're not even getting into anything great right now, but this is what winds up happening is that I wind up spending like a ton of time just on the basic configuration stuff. So right now I'm in this Terraform template, which is the template that creates a new node workspace in my dev environment. And what I'm just looking for is on the Docker container, I am binding global config.git config there. So why? So here's what we want to do. We want to go to, this gets put into home coder.config. I wonder if this is the wrong place for this. The reason why I wind up having to like do this stuff is because I'm trying to get these templates to be like, as soon as I want like a node dev environment, boom, set it up. But I keep running into like all kinds of little problems and I keep iterating through it. So I haven't gotten these templates down to pat yet. So I just want to sort of try to figure out if I can get this working before I move into the actual other coding, because then I forget and then I wind up having to do this another day. So let's open files. We're going to go here and we're going to open up this .config. That's interesting. I followed what ChatGPT said. It said default brain. Okay. I'll make a note in my head, which means I'll forget. And let me just do this. I'm going to, I have a feeling that the git config is not, wait, let me see. How can I see the values of the git init or git config file? So if you're just tuning in, what I'm doing is I'm just trying to set up my dev environment right now, and I'm going to continue to work on this idea where I'm having Lovable, which is an AI code generator, create a connection to a locally hosted database, so I don't have to use Superbase and pay for it every time I want to do little experiments. Right now I'm just trying to fix a little bit of a git issue. Clear. That's not good. Where? Okay, now I'm down a whole other rabbit hole, because this is going to affect me later on, because I'm not going to be able to get this working. What I want to do with let me do this. SSH git at github.com. Yes. Permission denied. Okay, so the problem I'm having right now, and the only reason why I have to fix this now, is because part of what I need to do is I want to take this code that I'm creating and I want to throw it onto GitHub at some point. But what's happening is that I'm missing the connection for for SSH and all this stuff. So what I need to figure out is I'm using, which version am I using of host name, entry point, environmental variables, count, image. I am using one of these Docker. Where's the code parameter? Docker image. Let's see here. I am using, okay. I am not able to find this file, and it's not loading my correct one in Docker. Where should the where should the git config and .ssh get mapped to in here is what is in my template now. All right, so let me just see if I can get this little problem fixed real quick. And then this will allow me to be able to SSH back into GitHub, which means I can check out and push things. And then it'll also sort this problem out where it no longer wants to call the main branch master, which whatever, I'm fine with. I don't really care. I hate when there's a warning or some sort of error, and I want to just make sure that I fix that. So let's see if we can come up with a solution here. So different Docker containers require in the Docker, the default home directory for the node user is often home node, not home coder, which is likely causing the issue. So, all right, let's give this a try. We're going to update this. What am I on? 34i. Actually, I'm just going to make this a whole new version. And let's do this. Okay, right now what it's going to do is it's going to take this same file, the .ssh folder and the .git config, and it's going to remap it to the node directory, which I think is the problem that I was having, is that when I use Coder and I use their default Docker image, it uses the Coder user. When I'm using a node image, the default user is Node. So let me build this out. We'll call this version 35, just to give you an idea of how many versions of this I've been trying to get this right. And then let me publish this. Whoops. Oh, there already is a version 5, huh? Let's do version 36. What is going on here? How many versions do I have? Hold on a second. Templates, Node workspace, versions. How did I get to 34? Oh, you know what? Look, that's my dyslexia right there. Well, post-car accident dyslexia is that instead of 43, I did 34. So we're really on 44 should be the name of this template. Publish V44. All right, and then what we're going to do is, now that we've fixed this, we're going to go into the workspace. I'm going to look at the current project. I'm going to update its Terraform. Actually, before I do that, let me go back into VS Code here, and let me rm-rf.git, and that will remove the git. And now what we can do is we'll update the template that builds this out. All right, so this is now updated. Let me go back here and I'll reload code server. And now if we do git, or if we do ssh git at github.com, type in yes, permission denied. What's going on here? Why is this not working? Why is this file not there either? Open file. I think it was home node. That's weird. Wait, what? All right, node hosts, fine. The git config file here. Huh. The git config file here is not working. Is there a place where, yeah, let me copy the path. Made the changes. I see the file at, but it's not being used. How can I find out where Git is storing its config? I think this sort of sums up every time I try to do something. Like every morning, it's like, I'm like, all right, for 2 hours, I'm just gonna focus solely on doing this one task. And then what winds up happening is that I get sidetracked into a different area. All right, let me do this clear. That didn't do anything. All right, I'm about to abandon this in a minute, and I'll just spend my afternoon working on this template because no one's going to want to watch me updating a Terraform template. You're running as root. Git is looking for root instead of home. Check your home variable or run Git as the node user. So looking for root config instead. All right, so let's go back and let's change the mount. Source code. Edit. how can I update these mount points? Cool. I like that it's reasoning forever. All right. Hopefully, we just need to go into. I mean, I don't know why I'm being lazy about this. I could have just typed this in myself. I already know what the mount points are. Let's. This is V44. Let's build this. Publish. V44. Publish. Whoops, sorry. 45 is the next version. Publish. And then I need to now go back to my workspaces and let's update this workspace. All right, so hopefully this will now put the files in the correct location. I want to see, while we're looking at the mount point, how can I map the database files to a volume? So if the container is destroyed, the data will persist locally. All right, let's have it sort that problem out. And then I'm going to come back here. This is going to need to reload, I think. Whoops, here. Reload button is here. We'll get rid of this. And now, SSH git at github.com. Yes. It is now, all right, so I can now tell that this is now correct because when I try to SSH in, it's authenticating and it's telling me now that my SSH keys and everything are in the correct place. So let me clear this out, and then the next thing I want to do is I want to print working directory, list everything. Let's do git init. There we go. Now we got rid of the warning. Whew, that was fun. Add a mount that maps your host directory to your DB directory. Where is that directory? So there's a DB data. Let's take a look at this. Open folder. Where does it think this is? var lib mysql. Var lib mysql. Okay, I'm going to write a note to myself about this because I want to let me write a new document. Need to map my SQL, whoops, SQL to this. All right, so when I go back to my Terraform template, I will just go back and remember where to do this. The goal of this is that I want to make sure that whatever is put into this MySQL folder winds up persisting. So, but that's a problem for another time. Okay. All right, so now I have git status. Let me make sure it's not including any stupid stuff. Perfect. Git add all git commit and initial import git branch v 0.1.0 git checkout v 0.1.0 clear, and then if we do git status, we should be on that branch. Perfect. All right, now we're cooking. The reason why I wanted to do this is because I wanted to go through and just make sure that as I make changes to things that are already working, that I can revert back to them as needed. All right, so we don't really need this so much. I'm going to create a new tab here. Let me copy over this, and let me create a new tab for just the code editor. We're going to add a split to the right, and we're going to do coder SQL test weekend project. All right, so it's running in the background because the way that I have the Terraform templates created is that it always just sort of it always runs this start.sh file. So now what I want to do is we're gonna build onto this so that it works a little bit better. And let me see. Okay, I am now ready to talk about my site changes. Here is the index HTML, and once you've seen this, we can go into the changes I need to make. Oops, shit, I forgot to paste the file. All right, so here is the code, and I want to modify this so that it will display the data of a selected template in an editable form. So I want all the I want all the columns to be displayed on the page with each entry as a row and a pen icon next to each cell that allows me to edit and save the change back to the database. I also want all of this to run on the API endpoints, so I can identify any missing APIs I need to add. All right, so what I'm doing is the whole goal of this project is I want to create this base project that all it is a Docker container that will run MySQL in the background, and then I have a thin client that sits on top of it that runs on port 8080, and then I can basically talk and manipulate the database through that connection, and Lovable can remote into it. Later on, if I want to move a Lovable project into production, I can go ahead and connect it to a real SQL database. But because the APIs will all be the same, I can create a backend just for that. So right now, what I really just want is such a really bare bones way of just taking a look at whatever is in the table and being able to modify it. So let me copy this code, let me paste this and save it, and let me refresh and see if this okay. It broke everything. Wait, what just happened here? Do I have to like restart it or something? Git checkout. This is why we use version control. Public index. All right. this broke the current flow. I want you to retain the ability to load a table, prompt the user for their credentials, then populate the select table drop down with the tables to be viewed, along with the changes we made previously to edit the data in table form. Separate out the JS code from the HTML page and tell me where to place these in the public folder. Let's build on top of this version that was working. All right, so while this does its thing, I'm going to just mute myself real quick and, well, actually, whatever. I don't think anyone's really watching anyway, so I was just going to bring up my standing desk, which just makes a lot of noise. All right. So it's reasoning and trying to figure out its coding stuff. At some point I'll move this over. The other day I was doing some experimenting with trying to set up some of these like things that let you code automatically in Visual Studio Code, but I wasn't having a lot of success, and I need to go back and deal with some configuration issues with my local LMs. But let's see, place your HTML and JS files as follows. All right, so we'll start with this public file. Great. All right, this public HTML. Then we need the dashboard. So let's create a new folder called JS. And in it, we are going to make a new file called dashboard.js. And we will paste all of this in there. And let's refresh this. So I think it was admin. All right, nothing is working. Yeah, ChatGPT has gotten so bad at coding. Don't understand what you are doing. This was working correctly, and now you changed everything and broke it. Let's just yell at it a little bit and see what it comes back with. But yeah, I think sometimes when you're working with ChatGPT, you really have to just like go backwards and like go piece by piece and break it down so it can understand it. It's like kind of like talking to a child. The 404 means that the file isn't being found. Make sure you have the file at public JS dashboard and that your express static middleware is set to serve the public folder. So, hold on, I want to go back because this is, so let's try it the other way. Whoops, hold on a second. Let's just recheck out the HTML page. Okay, let's try this again. before adding the new logic, I want you to help me refactor this working index HTML page so the JavaScript is in its own file and without breaking anything. All right, let's try this again and see if it'll work this way. All right, so let's try it a different way. We're going to paste in this HTML. We are going to create a new main.js file. We're going to paste this here. Oh, I don't think it finished writing it all. All right, let me copy this again. And now, if I rerun this, all right, so I think what's happening is that it's not getting the JavaScript file. Let me go to network, reload this. Huh, that's weird. So why isn't, oh, please select a table, wait, what? Load table data, right? Please select the table. All right, when I try to load the table, I don't get the user, I don't get the auth pop-up anymore, and this is in the console. All right, waiting for this to work. I think what I'm going to wind up doing is I might actually just have Lovable create the app for me. Fetch doesn't trigger the browsers based on you must prompt the user. How? You broke my code. Give me ways to make this work. A little tough love on the ChatGPT. Usually I'm just calling it a moron or cursing it out. So, let's see. If you're just tuning in, I'm trying to build a very small sort of database admin panel to go along with a Lovable app that I'm working on. And I'm just not having much luck with ChatGPT. So I think I might actually switch gears over to Lovable, but I'm not sure just yet. I really want to do that. Reasons about the handling. Fetch doesn't trigger the browser built-in thing. For example, update your JS like this. Execute. What? Why would I need to do this? Async function. But why am I? Why am I modifying the execute SQL when this should be the load table button? I don't know what they've been doing with ChatGPT lately, but it just it can't do anything anymore. It used to actually be really good at coding, but I don't know why it's gotten so bad. And I'm using the one that they say is good for coding. Use all the queries, please. Dude, where is the code? You are telling me, and I need you to show me. Okay, here's the complete code with the auth prompt built into the execute. But I don't think this is following what I wanted to do at all. I don't get this. You are not doing what I asked. If you look back at original code, you'll see it has a pop-up when you click load tables to see the database. I'm going to give it one more try, and then what I might wind up doing is I might build in here a little explorer so that you could just see what's in the database, and then later on I can just refactor this, pull that out, and then I could turn that into a front end for this. I'm kind of curious. My only concern with Lovable is like it does generate like a shit ton of code. But that's fine. Honestly, I think this is what Lovable is like a little bit better at. Actually, what I could do is I could just remix this project and then turn it into that, which I might wind up doing. Here's the refactored version without changing your original behavior. You mean the thing I've been asking for this entire time? All right, I'll try this one more time, and then we're just going to go do something else. Copy code. Now let's refresh this. And let me try one other thing here. Clear. I'm going to try to just restart the server. Maybe there's just something wrong with that. No, it just... Still not able to load the tables. Why is ChatGPT being so bad today? Pop-up would trigger the browser. I'm trying to see what it's reasoning now. Input. Seems like the original setup triggered a browser basically with pop-up fetching. Modify the code to explicitly prompt the credential. Yeah, I would like it if you actually did the thing that it did before. Try this version. It prompts the credentials when load tables is clicked and resets the stored credentials if the request fails. Perfect. And I already have main.js in here. So let's go back here. Let's refresh. Yeah, it doesn't do jack, man. What? Okay, I've run out of patience here. So we're just going to use Lovable to build a little app that will display all the tables and all that stuff. And I'm just going to revert this because this is garbage. Delete permanently. Let me create a new shell. Git reset hard. And if I go back here, now this should just work. Oh, now this doesn't work, huh? What is going on here? Okay, this is fine. I don't really care anymore. I want to just build out a thing that will work. So let's do this with Lovable. I'm going to make this smaller. I am going to come into here. Let's go to the GitHub settings, transfer project to GitHub. We'll do this as my, under my name. Okay, great. Edit this in VS Code, view on GitHub. No, I don't need to do any of that now. What I need to do is go into the project settings, go into GitHub, and we're going to create a new version called v0.1.0 and branch from that. Okay. And now let's go back to our project. And I think for right now, I'm just going to get rid of this whole window, and we're just going to focus here. And now I'm going to go back up to the top when I asked it what I wanted it to do. And we're going to get it to build this out in here. Here's the code. Let's just do this. Okay. So what we're going to do is I need you to refactor the code without without making changes that would break the current functionality. We could not spell today, huh? That will display the data of the selected template in an editable form. It will display the data of the, it should have been table. That will list all the tables in the database with a way of selecting a table which then displays the data of the selected table in an editable form. I want all the columns to be displayed on the page with each entry as a row, and a pen icon next to that allows save changes. I also want all of this to run on the API endpoint so I can identify any missing APIs I need to add. Lastly, there should be an input field to add to submit. What are we looking to do? We need to submit raw SQL statements. This can be a new section. All of this go in the database status panel. Right, so we log in. Ooh, could not create the tables. What? What is going on? Let's refresh this. The connection test. Sign in. All right, I think for some reason this just stopped running. Did I stop running it? Start, wait, /start, SH. Let me restart the database again. And now, let's restart this. Table cannot successfully connect to the database server. Successfully connect to the database server. Okay, okay. I want all these to go away. Go away. Holy shit. Why won't these toastings go away? There we go. Successfully connect to the database server. Cannot. Like running out of screen real estate here. Failed to load the resource. I'm so confused. How does everything just like stop working while I'm working on it? Like all this stuff like just worked before. Was it pushing it to Git that screwed everything up? I don't understand. Let me just save this prompt here. And now I need to go back through and to keep this from automatically connecting to database. It was working before, but now it's not. Direct backend connection. This test directs the connection database without authentication. Successfully authenticated. Get the database table created or see the notes anymore. All right, let me close out this other window I have here. I can see from the logs that there's an issue with the database table creation. The error appears to be related to missing authorization headers in the request to the debug table endpoint. Let's fix this. I've added the proper authentication header to the request, which should allow the database to... Yeah, okay, great. How did that, like, break? Whatever, I don't care. Okay, so let's do this. Now, let's see if it can create the thing we need. So now what I'm hoping is that in this database status, it'll show me an area to select the table, and we can just modify it. And then what we'll do is we'll have like a very simple way of just modifying, or like at least viewing and editing the table. And then we can build upon that later. All right, I'll implement the database management interface that allows viewing the tables, editing records, and so this is the thing that I actually think Lovable is really good at. Like, there's so much like glue and stuff you need to write, and boilerplate stuff you need to write when you are building out a website. It really excels at building that stuff out for you, so you don't have to like really think through it. But it does take its time for this one. I do think this little app is sort of ready at this point. What I'm kind of curious about, and while it's doing its thing, I'm wondering how much more of this I can simplify. Like, we don't need this minimal. Let me delete this. There's the server. There's the database. And then there's the CRUD stuff. Whoops, I just lost my... That was weird, I just lost my screen for a second there. All right, let's see if Lovable has built... So let's do this. We're going to create a new note. Test. Well, we'll do this as test title 1 and test content 1. We'll create this note. And now if we refresh this table, it should... It is supposed to show us this. So let me refresh this and see if this works. All right. So what I want to do is I want to take this. I want to test. Oh. All right. So the UX for this sort of blows right now. Okay, I want you to clean up the UI for the database management. First, you can remove the hide button and just show it as part of the database status page or status panel under creating the database. or under creating the table. Let's start with this. We'll just go step by. Sometimes I like give it like way too much to do at once, and then it winds up just sort of crapping out. So we'll just do this in pieces. And I think like a good win, I was going to end the stream in about an hour. I think a good win would be that we would have a complete little notes taking app. I'm going to change, I was going to change something else that I need to do. Let's see here. Database status. Okay, so now we see this now. Right, we have tables, we have SQL, fine. And now I want you to clean up the UI for the table. Browser/editor. Remove the column on the left. Wait, let's try this. I do think there's like one thing that I do like about Lovables. I get to think more about UX than I do about the coding. I want you to clean up the UI for the UI browser. Switch the tabs so that SQL query is first and tables is second. Then when you are in the tables, there should be a drop down on the right that lets you pick the table. This way there is more room for the table browser. All right, let's see if it's able to do that. And then the other things I need to do, I'll actually just field API endpoint URL using the current one as the default value. All right, I've made these changes to the SQL database. Blah, blah, blah. It's about to refresh. Let's see what it has done. Database status, tables, notes. Perfect. All right. I guess it didn't really follow what I wanted it to do, but that's fine. I think we're just sort of stuck in this kind of like not so great thing. Let's do this first before I forget this. In the API credentials, can you add a field for the API endpoint URL as default value? All right, so we'll take one step back. This way now when you go, what I wanted this to be was like this multi-step process where the first thing you do is you enter in the URL and the API credentials. Then it goes through, it tests the connection and tells you that it works. Then it goes to the database status and it creates the table that it needs. And then you'll have all the tools you need to edit and view the table, but everything will be, and then you're able to write your notes and all that other stuff. So, all right, so we're gonna sign in and the table exists. We'll go to table, and now, okay. So the next thing I want to do is, I wonder if I can just do it this way. Let me go up a div. There we go. Remove this border. So there is more space for the table editor. And make sure the table editor scroll bars are always visible. All right. So the other thing this weekend is Ludum Dare, which is a game jam that's been going on for a long time and one of my favorites. And I actually think I've cleared my weekend so I can take part in it. But I am debating, I wanted to do something maybe with Lovable and do some sort of like AI based, or have some sort of AI tool help do a lot of the coding, which I think maybe is cheating in a game jam, but to me a tool is a tool. So what I wanted to see was if I can get this database stuff working correctly, then I would be able to at least spin up a database real quick and do some testing. I've made several changes to improve the table editor space and scroll visibility. All right, once this is done, oh good, it gave me an error. Or did that go away? All right, I can't get rid of this window. All right, cool. I'll have to file a bug on this one later. Let's see if it'll refactor, then I'll just refresh the whole page. Sorry, while it does this, I need to send another message out real quick. All right, is this finished doing its thing? All right, let me refresh this so we can get rid of this stupid little editor thing. All right, so let's see how this looks now. Status, let's go to table editor. Oh, wow, it just like totally screwed up everything, huh? I don't like what it did at all. Wait, let me go back to this preview and see if this was better. Wait, why is this preview the same as the other one? No, stop this. Let's go back to the history. Let's go back to here. All right. This database status. Right. Okay. We're going to revert back to. Let me see real quick if this version works. All right, that one's broken. All right, let's do this. Let's restore this, and let's restore this version because it screwed things up. All right, so we've now just reverted back to this. Fine. Tables. Let's do this. I want to get this to where. Let's try this. Whoops. Shoot. Did I revert it? Add API endpoint to URL. Okay, good, good. All right, let's try to do this again. Can you remove the border around the table editor with the table editor's table so there is more visible. Whatever, it's not even proper English, but we're just going to go for that anyways. All right, let's see if this will fix this. Remove the borders from the table component by changing the. This will remove the borders around the table. I don't see that change. Where? I feel like they pushed out a new update while I'm working on this thing. This table still exists. This border still exists. So what do you? Oops. All right. Shoot. I wish I can go back. All right. Go up. Go up. Go up. Go up. Go up. Go up. I want removed. Let's see if it can figure this one out. This is one of those situations where sometimes it's just easier if I just went into the code myself and fixed it, but I'm not set up for that just yet. All right, so it looks like that's gone now, which gives us a little bit more room. Let's close. Oh, cool. This is totally broken now. Oops. So now we go back to the database connection. We go here, and we now have a little bit more room to work with. Though honestly, I'm not sure if that actually did much of anything, but all right. Now make sure the scroll bars are always visible in the table editor for horizontal and vertical scrolling. Do, 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 do. All right, so let's see what this thing comes up with. Made the scroll bars. This file is getting quite long. Let's see if it refreshes it. I want to see if it actually did this correctly. Database status, tables. All right. Let me give it a screenshot and show it what is going wrong here. First off, we will refactor this. And while it's refactoring, what do I want to do next? The next thing we should do is that when the API credentials are valid, close that section and give it a green check like the others. All right, each component now has a single responsibility. Great. Database here. All right, so at least we now have this scroll. That's good. What does view mean? Actions. Okay, so what I want to do is let's close this section, like the others. I know, like I really want to just be telling it like, here, do this, 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 and this, but it can't follow all those directions. You really have to go like piecemeal with it. All right, so valid. I love how this also is like interesting to me in Lovable. Like it doesn't follow its own like directions. Like I don't know why it thought that this was a check mark, but all right, I don't care right now. What I want to do is let me restart this page and I want to see what happens here. Perfect. Okay, so you should be at the notes. You should see these three things have happened. Now what I wanted to do was you fix the height of the table editor. There should be a minimum height and max height. Right now, it's just, let's just do this. There should be a max height that shows at least 4 rows. All right, we'll have it fix this, and then we'll go on from there. All right. I've updated the tail browser component to have a fixed height of 240 for the scroll area that contains. All right, so let's refresh this and see if that actually worked. All right, much better. All right. Can you remove the action button from the editor and the pen icons when you mouse over a cell? It should highlight, and when you click on that cell, it should open up a pop-up or a modal to change the actual value. The modal should also give you information about the data type and validate any changes before saving and closing. All right, that might be a lot for it to figure out, but we'll give this a try and see. All right. I've updated the table browser component to implement a model-based cell approach. All right, let's see now. Failed to update the cell. All right, so when I try to edit the cell, it gives me an error. All right, we're getting closer though. I think this is like a good start to what I want. The real question is it reproducible? And I think what I'll wind up doing this afternoon off camera is I'm going to create a whole new template for I'm going to create a whole new template now for these for my Terraform template, and then this way now whenever I want to create a database or a new Lovable project, I can create a database, throw it down, and just basically connect it and work. All right, so I updated the update table cell method to directly interpolate the value in the SQL string rather than using parameterized values as placeholders. Format based on the error message from the request. This should fix the issue with updating the table cells. All right. Tables, test 2. All right. And now if we refresh this, we see title 2. And when this gets changed, we see save changes. Perfect. Okay. So what I want to do now is for timestamp fields, can you give me a simple date? Well, let's not worry so much about this. The updated at, created at, content, title, great. I want to create a new table, a new one. We're just going to make this test 1 now. Test 1. Create the note. We should now have test 1. And now if we refresh the table, we're not getting that. So that's the next bug that we need to work through. Let's refresh the page and just make sure that it actually does load it up correctly. Database status, tables, okay. Let's see. What I want to do now is, I'm just curious if there's any console errors. Let me close this out. The refresh tables button is not working. And I want you to fix that without changing anything else, and move the refresh button to the top right, to the right of the table drop down with just an icon. Let's see if I can figure that out. That's probably a little bit more complicated than it can handle. All right. Let's refactor this too, and then we'll test it all with the refactor. Let's see. While I wait for this refactor, for some reason my phone is blowing up today for messages. All right, so did this work? Create a custom hook for table data. Sure, I'm just going to let it do all of its refactoring, and then we can always go back if it doesn't work, or just go from there. Okay, so let's see. It's now telling me that it's a lot cleaner. So we'll take its word for it. But what I want to do is go to table, and what we'll do is let's add a new note. We're going to call this test 3, and we'll just put a whole bunch. I actually want to see what happens when you put like a whole bunch of text in here. Create the note, and now we have this. So if we hit refresh, I'm still not seeing. Why is this not working? Let me clear and hit refresh. Okay. Refresh button on the table. Oops, table editor is still not working. I added a new note and I can see it, but it's not reflecting in the table editor. I'll fix the refresh button. Like starting to lose steam. I haven't eaten breakfast yet, but I wanted to do at least a little bit of a quick stream and try to get this to be a little bit more consistent now each day. Hopefully over time these will get a lot more interesting when I start actually building something. Right now this is a whole lot for weeks now, if not for the last month, I've been doing all kinds of just foundational stuff so I can code and build out all my tools and my workflow. Let me see here. We're going to change this title to updated, and we'll just add some more text to it. So we'll update this note. We refresh this. All right, so after making a change to a note, the notes list should automatically refresh. All right, let me see if I refresh this here. All right, at least this now works. The table editor should also refresh if, well, let's just start with one at a time. I'm less concerned with having like this like real-time, I don't even know that they call it anymore. Is it not Ajax anymore? Whatever the real-time communication between like doing something on the front end and then reflecting the change in JavaScript is called these days. I don't want to get so bogged down in this that it becomes just like a quagmire of features. The only thing that I'm a real stickler for is like the UX. Like it's so inconsistent across the board, and that's the last thing I'm going to do is just have it. All right, and let's refactor. I'm just going to have it just refactor and clean up all this stuff, and then we'll go through. We'll fix the last of the bugs in the UX stuff, and then this should be basically done. I don't know what's being made for lunch, but it smells good out there. Let's see here. Connect, test, database, test. All right, so I'm just trying to do in my head what I want this to sort of do, or what I need to do at least for the UX. We'll change this icon to a little note thing. We'll clean up all the forms that they are consistent. All right, so let's see now. We'll go through this whole thing. So API credentials valid, connection has been tested, great. The database status is that the notes table existence ready to be used. Table, and now if we edit this, update, more updates. We'll update this note. This now says more updates, successful. If we refresh this, we get more updates, and we're good to go. All right, so let's just quickly clean up the UX and see if this will work. So what I want to do is I wanted to actually remove the border around this. Let's see. There's got to be one of these divs. All right. Let's clear this. Oh my God. I don't know what they did, but they completely like broke the UI in this last refresh for Lovable. So why didn't this auto close? All right, this is annoying. Why is the API credentials not auto closing when holy shit, I think it actually reverted stuff. Because look, it's no longer giving me this, let me go back to let me see this preview real quick. Wow, look at what it did. Oh my God. Oh no, I closed everything. I did not mean to do that. All right, so where was I? Let me go back to Lovable. Yeah, it like reverted everything. Like let's go in this revert. Let's go back to the history, and if we look at this, split the note service into smaller files, right? Refresh the notes after changes. Fine. At what point did I lose that functionality? Oh my God, am I like going crazy? Like it. Oh my God. All right, whatever. I'll just ask it to fix. Not closing when success. Let me just try this manually. As you're successfully working on load, it needs a check mark next to the caret, like the other sections, and change the notes section icon to a notebook. All right, it sees the issue and it's going to go through and make some of these changes. And I think this will be the end of our stream here. We'll get this to be consistent. We'll get this to be consistent. We'll get this to be consistent. All I want to do here is I want to remove the padding here and make this. What I want to do is I want to remove this inner border and expand this stuff out. Whoops. All right, it's spinning up a new preview. All right, valid. Cool. It didn't do any of the stuff that I asked it to do except for this. Oh my God, you're so stupid. It changed the icon, but it whatever. All right, we'll get to that in a second. Okay. Can you remove this this outer border around the database SQL and table editors so the contents of these expand out? I don't know, let's see if this works. Maybe this afternoon I'll just stream playing. Actually, I just want to play some colonization. I love that game. All right, this. Let's go to the editor. Ah, perfect. Okay. Okay. In the table editor, can you make the scroll bars show up on the outside of the border? And align all the cell text to the top. All right, let's see. I'll move the scroll bars to the outside of the table contents, replacing the border on the container div instead of the scroll area, blah, blah, blah. Sounds great. That didn't do shit, but whatever. All right, at least the text is there. We can open this up. We can edit this. All right. And then what I want to do now is let's just get this thing to be more consistent. So let's do this. All right, so the API credentials the API credentials are not showing do Do not follow. Whoops. Oh my God, I can't type. Follow the style. I'm like starving. I want to go have lunch. Do not follow the style of the other sections. Remove the valid tag and add a green check mark to the right next to the drop down caret, so it matches the rest of the design. I think this is like a really bad problem I have, which is that I always want this thing to be like I always want this stuff to be consistent and look good, even if they're just like back-end tools. I'm like always, I guess this is like the artist in me. I'm like I really want to make sure that things look right. So this is gonna be the last change, and I'm gonna shut down the stream, have some lunch, and I'll just do some more work offline so we don't have to deal with all that stuff that I lost time to early in the morning. Oh my God, how does it do this? It fixed it, but it's off center. Sections. Be the same. I don't know if it's smart enough to know the difference between that, but anyways, I'm gonna I don't know if I'm gonna have time to stream tomorrow, but I will be streaming over the weekend doing Ludum Dare. So if you're watching, thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys. If not this weekend, I'll be back to streaming next week, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more consistent.